Welcome back, everyone. Ready for another deep dive.
Always.
This time, we're taking a look at the State of AI report
Yeah.
for 2024. It's their 7th year doing this now, and they always pack it with great insights. We'll be focusing on research, the industry, politics, even AI safety, and of course, those predictions for the future.
It really does cover the whole landscape.
Absolutely. So let's start with the research, the cutting edge. Anything jumping out at you?
Well, everyone's still focused on building bigger and better models, obviously. OpenAI is still a leader, especially with their new model o1.
Oh, one, yeah, I've been hearing a lot about that one.
It's pretty impressive,
Yeah.
especially when it comes to planning and reasoning, really thinking through problems.
Oh, interesting.
It can handle complex math, write code, even grasp scientific concepts.
yeah.
There was a story about a PhD student who spent a year on a coding project.
Uh-huh.
o1 replicated it in an hour.
No way.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
that kind of power.
That's incredible. So OpenAI is at the top, but is everyone else falling behind?
Not necessarily. Meta's Llama 3 is showing that open models are closing the gap, especially the 405B version.
405B, what does that even mean?
It refers to the number of parameters in the model. The more, the merrier, or so the thinking goes. They trained it on 15 trillion tokens. Imagine the data set.
15 trillion, that's a lot.
To train it, they needed 16,000 of those H100 GPUs.
Wow, I can barely imagine what that processing power even looks like. But how do we even compare these models? What makes one better?
That's the tricky part. Traditional benchmarks like the MMLU are being questioned.
What's wrong with them?
Some researchers are pointing out errors, and others are moving toward vibes-based evaluation.
Vibes-based, like it's all about feeling.
Kind of.
That's
Judging a
what it
chatbot on how engaging and natural it feels, not just raw accuracy.
That makes sense, actually. But with all this talk of massive models, what about something, well, smaller? Not everyone's got a supercomputer handy.
You're right. That's why there's a trend towards smaller, more efficient models. Ones that can run on everyday devices.
So, my phone could handle it.
Exactly. Techniques like quantization help slim down those model parameters without losing too much performance.
Interesting.
And there's distillation, transferring knowledge from a bigger model to a smaller one.
Like distilling the essence, getting to the core idea.
Precisely. It's about making AI accessible to everyone.
I like that. But what about the fuel for these models, the data? Is there even enough good data out there?
That's a major concern. There's this worry about model collapse.
Model collapse, haven't heard that one.
It's when models are trained on synthetic data, which is often generated by other AI models, leads to a decline in output quality.
So it's like making a copy of a copy. Eventually, it just gets blurry and messed up.
A perfect analogy. So we need high-quality, human-generated data. That's where projects like the FineWeb dataset and its educational subset FineWeb A come in.
So these are carefully curated data sets for training models.
Exactly. Hugging Face is spearheading that. But even with great data, researchers are finding clever ways to improve existing models by giving them access to external information. Think of it like a research assistant that can quickly pull up relevant information from a library to support the AI's response.
Oh, I see. So it can pull in outside knowledge to make its responses more comprehensive.
You got it. It's called Retrieval Augmented Generation, or I.
RI.
Yeah.
I'll have to remember that one. So lots happening in the U.S., obviously. But what about the rest of the world? Are we the only ones making progress in AI research?
Definitely not. Despite facing limitations due to U.S. sanctions, China's AI research is booming.
Oh, interesting.
They're focusing on efficiency and open source contributions. Models like DeepSeek's Coder V2, which is great for coding tasks, and Alibaba's Qwen 2 family are really impressive.
So it's a global race then. Everyone's pushing the boundaries of AI in their own way. Now, beyond just language and code, what other areas are seeing big leaps forward? Anything catching your eye?
Multimodal AI is one area where things are getting really interesting. Vision language models, or VLMs, can now understand and process both images and text simultaneously.
Oh, wow. So they're not limited to just one type of input anymore.
Right. This opens up possibilities for things like image captioning, robot navigation, using visual cues, even generating videos from text prompts. It's like we're giving AI a more human-like understanding of the world.
That's pretty amazing. Speaking of videos, I always thought generating them from text was pure science fiction. Is that actually happening now?
It's becoming reality. Models like Stable Video Diffusion can already generate realistic videos from text prompts, and companies like OpenAI and Google DeepMind are developing even more advanced text-to-video models.
Wow, the possibilities for content creation and storytelling are endless.
Absolutely. And let's not forget the impact AI is having on fields like biology and neuroscience.
Yeah, I've been reading about that. AI seems to be making breakthroughs in those fields.
It is. AlphaFold, developed by DeepMind, has already revolutionized protein folding research, which has massive implications for drug discovery and disease research. And now they've released AlphaProteo, a model that can design highly effective protein binders.
So AI is becoming a powerful tool for scientists in these fields.
Absolutely. We're also seeing AI being used to decode brain activity in fascinating ways.
Yeah, I remember reading about that project, Brain LM.
Right. Then there's MindEye 2, which can reconstruct images from brain activity. And there was an incredible story of an ALS patient who was able to communicate using a speech decoder that translated brain recordings into text.
That's remarkable. It seems like AI is helping us understand the complexities of the human brain like never before.
It really is. From simulating chemical reactions to predicting air pollution, AI is becoming a foundational tool across all scientific disciplines. But alongside these practical applications, there's a lot of research focused on improving AI's ability to plan and reason, to think more strategically.
That's fascinating. The ability to plan and reason is what really sets humans apart, isn't it?
Exactly. And that's one of the big challenges for AI right now. LLMs, despite their amazing abilities, still struggle with planning and simulation. They haven't mastered thinking several steps ahead or anticipating consequences.
So they're great at generating text and code, but not so much at strategizing and planning like humans do.
That's the hurdle. But researchers are working on it. Approaches like Quiet Star and OpenAI's O1 model are showing promise in improving AI's internal reasoning processes.
So the goal is to create AI that can not only generate creative outputs, but also plan strategically and make informed decisions.
Precisely. And this progress in AI planning and reasoning is going hand in hand with the resurgence of interest in robotics. Big labs like Google DeepMind are investing heavily in developing more efficient and adaptable robots.
Robotics is such a cool field. What kind of advancements are we seeing there?
Google DeepMind is doing some exciting work with projects like Otter-RT and RT Trajectory. Otter-RT uses VLMs and LLMs to suggest creative tasks for robots, while RT Trajectory leverages video input to improve robot navigation.
Wow, it sounds like robots are becoming more capable and independent.
They are, but there are still challenges, especially when it comes to humanoid robots.
Yeah, those still feel pretty futuristic to me.
We're getting closer, but one of the biggest obstacles is the data bottleneck. Training humanoid robots requires massive amounts of data on human movements, which isn't always easy to come by.
That makes sense, but I've heard the Apple Vision Pro is playing a role in robotics research by helping gather that kind of data.
You're right. Its advanced sensors and spatial awareness make it ideal for capturing human movement data that can be used to train robots. It's like giving robots a human-like perspective on the world. But while humanoids are still in development, the future of robotics is looking pretty exciting.
It really is. But for now, let's move from the research lab to the marketplace and see what's happening in the AI industry. Ready to explore the business side of AI.
Absolutely. The industry is buzzing with activity. From the hardware that powers these models to the applications changing our lives, there's a lot to unpack.
And no conversation about the AI industry would be complete without mentioning the giant in the room, Nvidia. Their dominance in the AI hardware market is hard to ignore.
Nvidia is the undisputed king of AI hardware right now. Their GPUs are the backbone of AI, powering everything from research labs to the devices we use every day. They even briefly reached a market cap of $3 trillion this year.
$3 trillion. That's more than the GDP of many countries. But with that kind of success, surely they must be facing some competition.
Of course, there are always challengers. AMD and Intel are vying for a piece of the AI hardware pie, and a whole bunch of startups are popping up with new approaches to AI processing.
So it's not a one-horse race, but Nvidia is definitely the one to beat. But what about the big tech companies themselves? Are they relying solely on Nvidia for their hardware?
Not entirely. We're seeing a trend towards vertical integration, where companies like Google, Meta, and even OpenAI are developing their own AI hardware to reduce their reliance on external suppliers.
It seems like everyone wants to control their own destiny in the AI world.
Exactly. And speaking of control, Generative AI startups are attracting massive investments right now.
Ah, the allure of the AI gold rush. But are these startups actually turning those investments into real-world products and services?
Absolutely. We're seeing a surge in AI-first products and services that are disrupting industries and creating entirely new markets. These AI-powered solutions are proving to be more engaging, efficient, and effective than their traditional counterparts.
So it's not just hype. AI is already making a real impact on the way we work and live.
Not hype at all. AI is becoming integral to our daily lives, and this trend will only accelerate.
Well, let's zoom in on some of the key players in this AI revolution. Which companies are leading the charge in innovation?
We've already touched on the giants like OpenAI, Google, and Meta, but there are so many others doing incredible work. 11 Labs, for example, is making waves with its incredibly natural-sounding text-to-speech technology. And Assembly AI is revolutionizing speech recognition with its cutting-edge algorithms.
Speech recognition is definitely an area where AI seems to be making huge strides. What are some of the most exciting developments there?
AI-powered voice assistants are becoming more conversational, intuitive, and capable. OpenAI's GPT-4o and Qtai's Mochi are two great examples. They can hold natural conversations, understand context, and even adapt their responses based on the user's personality.
It sounds like we're getting closer to that sci-fi dream of having truly intelligent AI companions.
We are, and it's not just voice assistants. AI is infiltrating every aspect of our lives, from legal tech to healthcare.
It's remarkable how quickly AI is becoming embedded in our world.
It really is. And the pace of innovation is only increasing. What we're seeing now is just the tip of the iceberg.
It's mind-blowing to think about how much AI will change our lives in the next few years.
I agree. But for now, let's focus on how different industries are adopting and implementing AI. Are certain sectors embracing it faster than others?
That's a great question. So, who's leading the charge in AI adoption?
Finance has been an early adopter, using AI for everything from fraud detection to algorithmic trading. Healthcare is also making great use of AI for diagnosis, treatment planning, and drug discovery. And then there's the legal field, where AI is automating tasks and improving efficiency.
It seems like the data-heavy and complex decision-making industries are naturally drawn to AI.
Yeah.
But what about those more traditional industries? Are they getting on board?
They are. AI is being adopted in manufacturing to optimize production and design new products. Retailers are using it for personalized recommendations and inventory management. And in transportation, AI is powering self-driving cars and optimizing logistics.
AI really is touching every corner of the economy, from finance to transportation. But what about the role of open-source AI development? Is that playing a significant part in this AI boom?
Absolutely. The open source AI community is incredibly active. Initiatives like Unsleuth, which offers significantly faster training for LLMs, are crucial for democratizing access to AI and fostering collaboration.
It's encouraging to see that collaborative spirit in a field that's often dominated by big tech companies. But with all this innovation and excitement, it's important to look at the challenges too. What are some of the potential downsides of rapid AI adoption?
Competition is a major challenge. High-end AI model providers are facing pressure from cheaper alternatives, particularly those coming from China and the open source community. This makes it harder to justify premium pricing.
It's the classic story of disruption. New players come in with more affordable solutions and shake things up.
Exactly. But beyond the business challenges, we also need to consider the broader societal and ethical implications of AI. Issues like bias in algorithms, job displacement, and the potential for misuse need to be addressed.
It's crucial to remember that technology is never neutral. The way we develop and use AI will shape our future, for better or worse.
I completely agree. We need to be thoughtful and intentional about how we integrate AI into our lives and ensure that it's used responsibly.
Well said. Yeah. Now let's talk about investment trends. How much money is being poured into AI and who's writing the checks?
AI investment is exploding globally. Venture capitalists, private equity firms, and even governments are pouring record amounts of money into AI. The US is still the biggest player, but other regions like China and Europe are catching up.
So the AI gold rush is in full swing.
It is. The release of models like GPT-4 has fueled this frenzy even further. We're seeing massive funding rounds, with startups raising hundreds of millions, even billions of dollars.
That's a clear indication that investors believe AI is the next big thing. But with all this investment and hype, where is it all leading?
That's the million-dollar question. AI has the potential to revolutionize countless industries, solve some of the world's biggest problems, and even reshape society as we know it. but it also comes with risks and challenges that we can't ignore.
It's a powerful tool with the potential for both good and bad.
Exactly.
We need to be mindful of both.
Absolutely. So AI is everywhere, it's powerful, and it's attracting a ton of investment.
Sounds like it's time for governments to start paying attention.
Oh, they definitely are. AI is a hot topic in political discussions worldwide. Governments are trying to figure out how to regulate this tech without stifling innovation. It's a tough balancing act.
Yeah, I bet. So let's start with the U.S. What's the regulatory landscape looking like over here?
The U.S. is taking a cautious approach, you could say. The Biden administration issued an executive order
Right.
on frontier model regulation, focusing on safety, security, bias, all that.
So guidelines rather than hard and fast rules.
Yeah, it's early days. Then there's the AI Bill of Rights.
That's been in the news a lot.
It lays out some ethical principles, but some tech companies are pushing back. They're worried it's too broad, could slow down progress.
I can see their point. Too much regulation could hinder innovation. Right.
Exactly. It's all about finding that sweet spot. And this debate isn't limited to the US. The EU is taking a much more proactive stance with their AI Act.
Yeah, the EU's AI Act, that's been making headlines. What's their approach?
It's one of the most comprehensive AI laws out there. It takes a risk-based approach. So AI systems are categorized based on their potential impact, and the regulations are tailored accordingly.
So higher risk means stricter rules.
Exactly. Systems used in healthcare or law enforcement, for example, would face more scrutiny.
Makes sense. So the EU is definitely taking a more cautious, some might say heavy-handed approach compared to the US. But how's the tech industry reacting to that?
It's a mixed bag. Some appreciate the clarity and guidance, while others worry it's too strict and could make them less competitive globally. It's a tough one.
Yeah, I can see both sides. But beyond the specific regulations, there's also a broader societal concern about the impact of AI. What are people worried about?
Data privacy is a big one. AI models are trained on massive amounts of data, often including personal information, and there are a lot of questions about how that data is collected, stored, used. Remember the controversy over Meta's data scraping?
Yeah, that was a big one. It seems like data breaches and privacy violations are in the news constantly. Is there any way to address this growing concern?
Data privacy is becoming central to AI regulation. The EU's GDPR has set a high bar for data protection, and other countries are following suit. We're also seeing new privacy-preserving techniques being developed, like federated learning, where models are trained on decentralized data without compromising individual privacy.
So protecting the data that fuels these AI systems is just as important as regulating how they're used.
Speaking of different approaches, what about China? We've talked about their research, but what about their regulations? Are they taking a different approach?
China's been very proactive, especially when it comes to content moderation. They've got strict rules in place to make sure AI-generated content aligns with their political ideology.
That's a stark contrast to the US and EU, where freedom of speech and expression are paramount. It really highlights how cultural and political values shape the way AI is governed around the world.
You're absolutely right. It's not a one-size-fits-all situation. But beyond these differences in regulation, there's also this growing sense of competition between the U.S. and China when it comes to AI dominance.
Yeah, it's not just a technological race, it's a geopolitical one, too.
Exactly. AI has become this central battleground in the broader tech rivalry.
So it's not just about building the best AI, it's about setting the standards, controlling the technology. Right. And this competition is happening on multiple fronts. Research, investment, development of international standards.
So how are the U.S. and China maneuvering to stay ahead in this AI race?
The U.S. has implemented export controls, limiting China's access to advanced AI tech, especially semiconductors, which are essential for building those powerful AI systems.
Makes sense. Cut off the supply chain.
They're also pouring money into AI research and development.
And China, how are they responding to these moves?
China's investing heavily in its own domestic AI industry. They want to become self-sufficient and less reliant on foreign suppliers.
It's a classic arms race then. Both sides are throwing everything they've got at AI. But where does that leave everyone else? Are other countries just caught in the middle?
Not necessarily. Other countries are finding their own paths, aligning their AI strategies with their national interests and values. Japan, for example, is taking an industry-led approach. Light touch regulation, heavy investment in research and development.
So they're focusing on practical applications and economic benefits.
Exactly, leveraging their strengths in robotics and manufacturing.
Smart move. Now, we've talked about government funding, but I'm also curious about the role of sovereign wealth funds in the AI industry. Are they becoming major players?
They definitely are, especially those from the Gulf states. They're invested heavily in AI companies globally.
Any examples?
G42, a UAE firm, has partnered with OpenAI and Microsoft to develop AI solutions for the Middle East. And Mubadala, another UAE fund, has invested heavily in Anthropic, a leading AI safety and research company.
Interesting. So these sovereign wealth funds are not just passive investors, they're actively shaping the AI landscape.
Absolutely. Their decisions could have major implications for the direction of AI development.
Now, on a more practical note, let's talk about public compute resources. There's this growing realization that access to computing power is essential for AI research, and some governments are starting to provide it.
You're right. Training these massive AI models requires enormous processing power. Not everyone has access to supercomputers, so governments are investing in public compute initiatives.
It's like leveling the playing field, giving smaller players a chance to compete. What are some of the initiatives out there?
The UK's national AI strategy includes a big chunk of funding for public compute infrastructure. The US is also increasing funding, and the EU is looking into it as well. Even India is investing in building its own supercomputing capabilities.
So it's a global trend then.
It is, and it's a good thing. Making computing power more accessible means more people can benefit from AI.
Democratizing AI. I like that. But with all this computation comes another concern, right? The environmental impact. All those data centers consume a ton of energy.
You're right. AI's energy consumption is substantial, and it's only going to increase. Data centers are huge electricity consumers, and most of that still comes from fossil fuels.
So AI could be contributing to the climate crisis.
It's a risk we need to acknowledge. We have to find ways to make AI more energy efficient, both the hardware and the algorithms.
It's a complex challenge.
It is, but essential if we want a sustainable AI revolution.
Now, switching gears a bit, let's talk about AI in defense and warfare. We've seen it used in conflicts like Ukraine, and that's raising some serious ethical questions.
Absolutely. AI in defense is a controversial topic. On one hand, it has the potential to make warfare more precise, reducing civilian casualties.
That's the optimistic view.
But then there's the concern about autonomous weapons systems, killer robots making life or death decisions without human oversight.
Yeah, that's a terrifying thought. Giving machines the power to kill is a line many people aren't comfortable crossing.
I understand that. The development of autonomous weapons systems raises huge ethical questions about accountability, responsibility, the role of human judgment in warfare.
It's a debate we need to have now, before it's too late.
I agree. The decisions we make today will have far-reaching consequences.
Now, let's bring it back to the economic impact of AI. There's a lot of anxiety about AI taking jobs. What's the reality there?
The impact of AI on jobs is a complex issue. Some experts predict massive job displacement as machines take over tasks that were once done by humans. Others argue that AI will create more jobs than it destroys, leading to new industries and opportunities.
So it's not a simple case of robots taking over the world.
No. The impact will likely be more nuanced. Some jobs will be automated, others will be transformed, and new jobs will emerge. The key is adaptation, equipping workers with the skills they need for this AI-powered economy.
So reskilling and upskilling rather than mass unemployment.
Right. We need to invest in education and training programs that prepare people for the jobs of the future.
Makes sense. Now, another concern is the potential for AI to spread misinformation and manipulate public opinion. We've already seen examples of deepfakes being used to spread propaganda.
That's right. AI-generated misinformation is a real threat. And as AI gets more sophisticated, it will become harder to detect and combat.
So what can we do?
We need media literacy programs to help people distinguish real from fake content. We also need more research into AI detection and mitigation techniques. This is where collaboration between governments, tech companies, and civil society is crucial.
Everyone needs to work together on this. Now, we talked earlier about nationalizing AI. Is that a realistic possibility, and what would the implications be?
There's been some discussion, particularly in the US, about the government taking a more active role in AI development, potentially even creating a national AI initiative, something like the Manhattan Project for AI.
Wow, that's a bold idea.
It is, and it's controversial.
I can imagine. So, what are the arguments for and against this?
Those in favor argue that it's necessary to make sure AI benefits the entire nation and doesn't fall into the wrong hands. They believe the government should steer AI development toward national interests. Opponents worry that it would stifle innovation and lead to a less competitive AI industry. They believe the private sector is better suited to drive progress.
It's a classic debate about the role of government in technological development, but a debate that's likely to intensify as AI becomes more and more intertwined with our lives.
Exactly. The stakes are high.
They are. Now, I think it's time to dive into a topic that's central to all of this: AI safety.
AI safety is crucial. As these systems become more powerful and autonomous, we need to make sure they're aligned with human values.
So let's explore the challenges, breakthroughs, and potential risks of AI safety.
We've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive into the world of AI.
We have. From cutting-edge research to the industry landscape to the political and ethical implications, it's clear that AI is touching every aspect of our lives. So before we wrap things up, let's take a moment to reflect on some of the key takeaways from the State of AI Report 2024. What are some of the things that really stood out to you?
One of the most interesting trends is the convergence of performance among the top AI labs. The gap between the best models is narrowing, which suggests we might be reaching the limits of current AI architectures.
So it's possible we're on the verge of a new era in AI innovation, where new approaches will be needed to keep pushing the boundaries.
Exactly. Another key takeaway is the importance of data. The quality, quantity, and diversity of data used to train these models is paramount.
Right. AI is only as good as the data it learns from.
Yeah.
Garbage in, garbage out, right?
Precisely. And then there's the growing focus on AI safety, both in terms of technical research and policy discussions.
That's been a major theme throughout our conversation.
It has. Researchers are working hard to make AI systems more reliable, robust, and aligned with human values, while governments are grappling with the complexities of regulating this powerful technology.
It's a delicate balancing act, trying to foster innovation while also protecting against potential risks.
It is. And it's not just about technical solutions and regulations. We need a broader societal conversation about the ethical implications of AI, the values we want these systems to embody, and the future we want to create with AI.
It's a conversation that everyone needs to be a part of, not just experts and policymakers. AI is going to impact all of us, so we all have a responsibility to help shape its development.
I agree. Now, before we sign off, I'm curious to hear your thoughts on what lies ahead for AI. Based on what we've discussed, what are your predictions for the future?
Well, I think it's safe to say that AI will continue to advance at an incredible pace. We'll see breakthroughs in areas like natural language processing, computer vision, robotics, and maybe even the development of artificial general intelligence.
AGI, the holy grail of AI research, a system with human-level cognitive abilities.
Exactly. It still feels like science fiction to me, but the progress we're seeing in AI reasoning, planning, and problem solving is definitely getting us closer.
It is. It'll be interesting to see how it unfolds.
It will.
Yep.
And what about the impact of AI on society as a whole? How do you see AI shaping our lives in the years to come?
I think AI has the potential to address some of humanity's greatest challenges, like climate change, disease, and poverty, but it could also worsen existing inequalities and create new ones if we're not careful. The key is to ensure that AI is developed and used responsibly in a way that benefits all of humanity, not just a select few.
That's a powerful message to end on. Responsible AI development, where ethical considerations are paramount and the benefits are shared widely. I think that's something we can all agree on.
I hope so.
Well, that brings us to the end of our deep dive into the State of AI Report 2024. It's been a fascinating exploration of a field that's rapidly evolving and shaping our world in profound ways.
It has.
And to our listeners, thank you for joining us. If you're interested in learning more about the trends and insights we've discussed today, I highly recommend checking out the full State of AI report for yourself. And be sure to subscribe to the deep dive for more insightful explorations of the topics that matter most. Until next time.